everybody, welcome back to Heart Breathings. I know there have not been as many videos this year, but I'm gonna hopefully kind of explain what's been going on, what's kind of held me back. And it's Kanban Board Day, which is so exciting to me because it is already way into January. It's January 21st as I'm recording this, and I had not set up my Kanban board yet. So I was feeling way behind, very discombobulated because I like to have my board set up and to know exactly what tasks I'm working on. I did actually have all of my goals figured out, and I had worked through my entire HB90 goal setting system. So I had the sticky notes made, but I was just waiting for a chance to actually record this for you guys. So they didn't actually go up on the board until today. So I'm going to show you that process and kind of walk you through it. So if you're interested in seeing how I set up my Kanban board to help achieve my goals every 90 days, stay tuned. Okay, so like I said just a minute ago, I actually had already set up my Q1 goals. So kind of rewinding a little bit, if you're new to my channel, my name is Sarra Cannon. I am an indie author, which means that I started my own self-publishing, like my own publishing company back in 2010. And I have since written and published over 25 novels and sold nearly 750,000 books. And it was one of those things, like when I decided to be an indie author, a self-published author, and do everything kind of myself, I never dreamed that I was also signing up to be an entrepreneur. I just didn't even realize that I was now going to be a business owner. I was just thinking of myself as a writer, and I was thinking about getting these books out to my fans. But as time has gone on and the business has become more complicated and there's so much more involved, I have spent a lot of my time taking productivity and business courses and learning more about the actual business of being an entrepreneur and of being a publisher and of being a writer. So I'm constantly trying to find that balance between being a creative person who is having to sit down every day and, get excited about stories and create worlds and learn my craft and be just 100% a writer. And then also having to be someone who is basically a business owner and has to understand taxes and how business is structured and how mailing lists work and how to promote and publish my books and all of those other things. And then of course, in 2018, I added a second business where I added this YouTube channel and all of my courses and planners that go along with that. So it has taken a lot to kind of come up with my own rhythm and my own flow, but I feel like I've really found something that works for me. So if you have been either trying to manage or balance a full-time job with wanting to be creative, or you've got all these goals that you've been really wanting to accomplish and you just feel like you don't have the time or you can't get focused, then maybe something like this system will help you. So let me walk you through exactly what I do. So I plan 90 days at a time. I do this specifically because when I used to plan an entire year at once, I would find myself getting so far behind early on that it would just throw my entire plan off. And instead of just continuing on and then finding a place to stop and review, I was just constantly trying to revamp my schedule. Like at January 20th, I'm 2 weeks behind. So let me just scrap the entire year's plan and restart. And I had no really good system for judging whether I was reaching my goals. I basically just had this huge to-do list of things, and whatever grabbed my attention at any given moment was what I would do. So if I would think, okay, I know I really need to work on my newsletter, I would start working on that. And then somebody would email me and say, hey, did you take care of this promotion thing? And are you going to write this short story? And will you do this other thing? And so my attention was constantly fractured. And what I found was that I was never really getting anything done. I was busy all the time, but I was never actually feeling like I was accomplishing things. So other than getting my books written, there were so many other things that I wanted to get done that were important to my business that just I didn't know how to prioritize. So I decided to plan 90 days at a time. And a pivotal course that I took that helped me with that was Todd Herman's 90-day year. I don't know if it's open for enrollment. He opens it a few times a year, but that is a really great course if you're interested in learning how to 90-day plan. So that was really one of the first introductions to me. And of course, I took what I learned in his course and over time have sort of altered it into my own system and things that work for me. So he didn't teach me about the Kanban board, but I felt like this was a great tool for me to help visually see my goals and my tasks all at once. So walking you through this, what I do is at the end of every quarter, I will take a week or two to sit down and review how my last 90 days has gone, what I got done, what I didn't get done, if I didn't have enough time, or where I kind of failed. And we'll talk about that a little bit because I did not clear my board this last 90 days. And then what I do is I set new goals for this upcoming quarter. And for me, a goal is something that is a measurable outcome that I can't control. So instead of saying I'm going to write a book as my goal, that would be a project. My goal, however, is to publish new books so that I can raise my income to $20,000 a month. And when I set that goal, I can't control if I'm actually going to make that amount of money. But what I can control is whether I get the projects done that are listed underneath it. And there's a lot of reasons behind setting goals in this manner, and I can do more videos on that. But basically, I just want to give you kind of an overview of how I work this system. I set no more than 3 goals for myself, and pretty much always the first 2 goals are having to do with my writing career, and the third goal has to do with heart breathings. And I'll explain this more when I'm setting up my board, but the first goal is almost always having to do with what I'm writing currently, so my writing projects and my promotion. Number 2 is usually like fan interaction and administrative tasks that have to do with my writing career. And then number 3 is more of heart breathing, so all my videos and courses that are related to that. And I'll show you why I have a 4th goal up on the board and what I use that for in just a minute. So in my planner that I sell on Etsy, it's called the HB90 system. I actually have sheets where you can go through the whole process of setting your goals, and then you break those goals down into projects, and then you break the projects down into tasks. Those tasks are where my sticky notes come from on my Kanban board. So for example, my goal number 1 for this quarter is to publish and promote both new and backlist titles in order to increase my publishing income. And I have some numbers attached to that, but I'm not going to share them right now. And then I have projects listed underneath that. And these projects are projects that are specifically going to help me reach that goal of publishing, promoting new books and backlist titles in order to raise my income. So Fate's Surrender is one example of a project that I have for this quarter. So I'm going to write, edit, publish my book, Fate's Surrender. And then underneath that project, I have an entire list, like a huge list of tasks, from everything from finalizing the plot of that book to writing the words to editing the book to sending it out to my beta readers to sending it to my editor to announcing the cover reveal and all of the things that go into publishing that book. When I set up that project to put it up on my Kanban board, I will break it down into as minuscule things like stuff I can finish in a week. So I have them written into like 5,000 words. So there's a sticky note up there for every single 5,000 word category. So it'll say Fate Surrender 5,000, Fate Surrender 10,000, Fate Surrender 15,000. And I think I actually just say FS 15, 20, 25, 30, and so on. So that every week I can move at least 5,000 words down and all the way down to the bottom. Typically, when I'm drafting a book, I try to write between 15 and 25,000 words a week of the rough draft. So I will actually just move the first 5,000 down, and then when that's done, I can move it down to the bottom and then move the 10 to the getting done part. But I have that project. I have Vengeful Darkness, which I know I'm not going to be publishing this quarter, but I'm hoping that I can actually draft a good bit of it, which is book 11 in my Shadow Demon saga. I also have some promotion things that are going to get done, and I have an assistant who's helping me with that. I have a short story that needs to be turned in, and I have some stuff that I'm going to do promotion-wise with some of my backlist, like my Sacrifice Me title. So all of those tasks and projects are on sticky notes up on the board under goal number 1, which is the blue ones. And those are all related to publishing and promoting my backlist. And I will kind of explain the rest of those goals as I'm setting up the board, because I'm going to rewind you guys and show you like a little bit of a review of how I did in Q4. So let's get to that now. Okay, so this is basically my completed Kanban board for Q4. And as you can see, I did not finish everything. And part of that is the main thing that I didn't finish here is my writing goals. I've been over this in a previous video, but if you're not familiar with how I set up my Kanban board, you can see up here at the top I have a 1, 2, 3, and 4, And then very lightly, I have just like a white washi tape that's going down here to sort of give it those 4 columns. And then this top part says master plan. So as you'll see in just a second, I'm gonna set up this whole top part as my entire master plan for the entire quarter. So I plan 90 days at a time. And so I'm setting up every single task and project that I'm gonna be working on over the next 90 days. And then as I pull a task, so this is like Facebook Live number 2, if I decide that I'm going to be working on that this week, then on Sunday I come in, I put that in this get it done section, which means that I am currently working on this. This is a task that I'm worried about for this week or that I'm working on currently right now. Then when I finish it, like if I finish my Facebook Live, then I would come in and I would move it down to the awesome job pile, which is basically my done section. Traditionally, a lot of times you'll see Kanban boards go from left to right, but this is the space I had on the wall. So it's kind of the only place I had to really do this board in my office this year. So I decided to go from top to bottom, and that really works for me. And really, it's more about the functionality of it than it is about which way you're doing it. So this may not be traditional, but this works for me. Plus, I love seeing the migration of everything going from, you know, these are the things I have to do, to this is the stuff that's already done. And on any given week, when I walk into my office, because this is right next to the door, I can look up and I can say, okay, what am I working on? And there will usually be, I think traditionally with Kanban boards, you're only supposed to have 1 task in the middle at a time. That's not the way I do it. Kind of made it work for myself. So I do everything I'm basically going to be working on this week goes in the middle. So there might be 1 or 2 green ones, or there will be a blue one or a pink one. When it comes to my word counts, I have in the past tried to do just like rough draft. Well, it turns out, you know, it takes me months to write a rough draft. So it's not as motivational to have like Faith Surrender rough draft up here for 2 months while I'm working on it. So what I decided to do was break it down into 5,000 word chunks. So I've got them down to like starting at 5,000 all the way down to 100,000 words. And so if I'm working on 40,000 to get to 40,000 this week, then I would just put this one here. And if I finish that, I would move it down to the bottom and go ahead and move the 45 down here as well, because I might be able to get all of those words in 1 week, but I would never put both the 40 and the 45 because this one has to happen before this one can get done. So it's kind of like I've set my own little rules for myself. And if you have any questions about that, feel free to pop them down in the comments below if you kind of wonder how it works, because I did some study and research on how traditional Kanban boards work, but after using them myself for a couple of years, I sort of came up with my own rules for what motivates me. And I think that that is really like one of the most important things is what's going to motivate you. So basically my Q4, I spent a lot of time working. You can see I've got a ton of both these teal color ones and the pink. I spent a lot of time working on videos for heart breathings and stuff. I did not have as many tasks for this number 2 goal, which is more towards my like fan relationships and things like administrative tasks for my writing career. So the way I do it is usually goal number 1 for me is almost always having to do with what books I'm writing and promoting. Number 2 is usually more to do with like things I'm doing with my fans, like Facebook Lives or working on my Facebook group or Instagram or paperbacks and sort of admin stuff. My goal number 3 is always having to do with this YouTube channel and with heart breathings, with my courses. And then I only have 3 main business goals every quarter, but I always have a 4th over here, and the yellow is always more like my personal things. So these are like courses I want to take, books I want to read. If I want to get into like a meditation practice or exercising more, that stuff goes on the yellow. And I don't really stress about whether or not I get the yellow things done. It's just up there to kind of motivate me to work on those. So Q4 review, as you can see, I did really well with YouTube, and I had actually only planned, I think I put 6,500 up here, that I was like, this is just sort of like a milestone thing where I would say like trying to get to 6,500 YouTube subscribers. And if you were hanging around by the end of the year, you know that I got to over, I believe, 11,000 by the end of the year. So that was super exciting, but I got a lot of videos done. I ran a course, I got the new planner up. So a lot of stuff happened, but there was still a lot of things that didn't get done, like This is a course that I signed up for called Blog to Biz Hive that I did not complete. I didn't really even get started on it because I just didn't have time. And then just a few other things like a resource library. I want to get a better welcome sequence going for my newsletter list. But the most important things got done. Now, when it comes to my second goal, which was more relating to my fans, I really missed a lot of opportunities here. So I got some Facebook Lives done. I did some promotions. I had hoped to do a NaNoWriMo vlog, and that just did not happen at all. I basically completely failed NaNoWriMo this year, but life happens. So I didn't get as many Facebook Lives. I didn't finish putting up some digital wallpapers, and then I didn't update some of my files that needed to be updated, which is kind of like an administrative task. And then when it comes to goal number 1, that was more my writing goal. And I did get a book written and completed and published in October, but I had hoped to have Fate Surrender, which is the 3rd book in my Eternal Sorrows series. I had hoped to have that one completely done as well, and that just didn't happen, which I'll talk about a little bit more later on in this video. But overall, I think I did really well. I think I just bit off a lot more than I could chew in the last part of the year because I think I forget how busy things get towards the end of the year. So hopefully I'll be able to remember that a little bit more for next year. And even though it is now January 21st, I am just now going to be setting up my Kanban board and goals for Q1 because I really wanted to get that recorded for you guys. So this is going to be really exciting for me to finally pull all these down and set up fresh. So I promised you guys, I told you guys in that little explanation that I would tell you a little bit about why I came short of my goals in Q4. I think on YouTube it can be kind of hard to know, when to go more personal and when to hold things back, but I just am not usually the kind of person who holds a lot of things back. And sometimes I think it is relevant to what you guys are going through as well, that sometimes life happens. Like I have students in my HB90 course that have lost parents during the middle of the course or during the middle of the quarter, or had other tragedies or traumas, or have gotten very ill and had to kind of back off. And, it's great to try to be as productive as you can and to have all these aspirations and goals and projects that you want to complete. But sometimes there are things that happen that you just need to also learn to say, okay, this isn't going to get done, and that's okay. And I will move on to the next quarter and everything's going to work out. So I had one of those kind of experiences for myself in Q4. I had a plan to finish book 10 and publish book 10 of my Shadow Demon saga. Then I was going to, over the course of NaNoWriMo in November, I was going to draft the entire book of Fate Surrender, which is the final book in my Eternal Sorrows trilogy. And I was really excited because so far in 2018, I had met all of my publishing goals, and it was really the first year I've ever done that. So I was like, oh my gosh, I've just got this one book to go, and I'm going to totally have nailed all my goals for this year. And I was really excited about that. And I had a plan in my second goal to do a daily or sort of maybe like a weekly NaNoWriMo vlog. And I was going to talk about my writing process and all kinds of stuff. And I had a lot of goals having to do with that, a lot of projects set up. But, this is where the personal stuff comes in. So you can feel free to fast forward if you don't want to hear about this. I know that I talk a lot about productivity and getting things done, but I also want you to know that, we're not robots. We're not able, we're creative beings. We're people who are, trying to do our best, but life is not going to fall apart if you don't clear off your board. So with that being said, my husband and I have been trying to have a second baby. We have a son who is 6 for the past 2 years, and it has been a very emotional journey. I have polycystic ovarian syndrome, PCOS, which affects about 1 in 10 women. So it is quite common, but it is one of the leading causes of infertility. And even though we had to go through a lot of fertility treatments to have my son, we decided we were not going to go through any kind of infertility stuff this time around. It's expensive. It's emotionally draining. It's very difficult. And if you've been through that, you sort of understand. So we weren't sure if it was possible for us to have a baby. And so after 2 years of trying, we finally got pregnant. So I found out in October that I was pregnant, and I was trying to take it easy. I knew I had a book due, but I was also trying to take it super easy. I was obviously not feeling great, first trimester stuff. I was super tired, but I was, focused on getting the book done and focused on staying healthy. And about a week before the book came out or was supposed to come out, and I still had, like, I am one of those people who, like, the week before a book release, I am still in a mad dash to finish final edits, to, finish putting in all of my editor's comments and everything else. So it's like there's so much work that goes into that last week before. And so the week before, the Monday before the book came out, I had a miscarriage. And I know that it's something that a lot of people don't talk about. It's kind of a taboo thing to talk about. But I felt like I wanted to share this because, when we're talking about achieving our goals and setting up all of these things that we want to do, I just want you guys to know that, you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to go in and say, I'm going to be this person who gets up every single day and moves these things down the board, and I'm going to be perfect. And if I'm not, then I'm going to judge myself for it. It's not a tool to beat yourself up. And there are going to be times when you lose a friend, you lose a family member, you have a health problem, you have a miscarriage. But for me, it was devastating. And I really struggled with it. I had to end up pushing the book back by a few days. I sort of went into a cave of grief, and, I didn't have any videos going up right away at that point, and I just needed a break. And I thought once I got the book published, which came out, I believe, like October 31st, so it was a few days late, but it still got out in October. I thought once I got that book done, I would be able to maybe take a week off and then get right back into the swing of things with the NaNoWriMo. But that just did not happen. It ended up devastating me more than I expected, and I had a really, really tough time recovering and getting back into writing. So there was a part of me come December when I completely failed NaNoWriMo. I didn't even write 10,000 words for Nano, that I was trying to not feel panicked, to not feel completely devastated that, oh my gosh, like I have wasted an entire month and here I had this amazing year of productivity and the very end of the year is going to be the least productive part. And, I was really struggling with that sort of perfectionism and that desire to, it's a balance. Being an entrepreneur is a balance. It's like I wanted, and I have all these goals and I'm very goal driven and I wanted to make that happen. But then, the part of me that is a human being person, like not a writer, not an entrepreneur, not a goal getter kind of person, just a person, needed time and space. And I actually needed a lot more time and space than I realized. So even though I continued to get videos out and I still did my course and got my planner out and things like that, it was a really tough recovery time for me emotionally. And so I just needed that time. And I want to encourage you that if you set up your board and you have all these big goals and you've set up your 90 days and something happens and you just need a break, don't beat yourself up over it. Because I found myself really, anytime I would not give myself just the grace of okay, you need a couple days where you can just sit in your PJs and cry and, eat fruit and sit on the couch and watch, binge watch YouTube or something or Netflix, and it's going to be okay. And I hope this is okay for me to share here, because it is not a plea for, getting a bunch of comments from people to say, I'm so sorry, because I know, it is a very personal and emotional thing. I really just wanted to share this because, we talk so often about how to be productive, how to go after your goals, how to be consistent, and all those things. But especially when you're a creative entrepreneur and you're a writer or you're some kind of creative being, like you're creating art or poetry or painting something, or you're creating a show, or you're creating, whatever it is that you're creating, you're so emotionally tied in to what you're doing. And so it can be really difficult to continue to create when you're emotionally devastated. And so give yourself the time that you need if you find that something happens that you just need a break, because life will go on, your business will go on, you will be able to recover. But sometimes if you try to push past and you don't take the time that you need, you could end up kind of being out of the game for a lot longer than you intended, and you can burn out much easier if you don't take the time that you need. So I just took most of November off. I got a lot done with heart breathings in December, but I still didn't get a lot of writing done. So here we are in January, and I still have not really gotten back to my complete writing routine. And there are other reasons for that I'll hopefully share with you guys in a couple of weeks. But I have just had kind of a hard time getting back into routines, and that's okay. You know, I'm not a robot, and neither are you. We are creative beings, and we're doing the best that we can. And I think the key is to take the time that you need to grieve, or to be sad, or to just take a break if you're feeling burned out, and then come back with fresh eyes and think, okay, what is it I truly want? What is it I'm going after? What is going to bring me joy? Because joy really does matter. And then setting up your goals all over again. So with all of that being said, now that it is January, and of course we're a little bit into the quarter already, I have all these goals set up, and I'm hoping, I'm still going to give myself a little bit of time if I need it. I may have, by the end of March, I may find that I've only done half the things on this board, and that's okay, because it's a learning process to understand how to keep writing after trauma. And I'm going to do the best I can, but hopefully you guys will be here with me, cheering me on as I continue on through the rest of this quarter. And, even if I only get half these things done, it's still going to be a win, because I'm still being, very focused in what I'm spending my time on. So let me show you guys the setup of my Q1 Kanban board and kind of take you through what some of my goals are for this next quarter. Okay guys, so that is basically it for the setup and review of my Q4 Kanban board and the setup of my goals and my Kanban tasks and everything for Q1 of 2019. If you want to set up a Kanban board up for yourself, you can use a big space on the wall like this. You can go top to bottom. You can go left to right, whichever way you want to set it up. You could even set it up in a notebook. You could set it up on any part of your wall. I've had students that have set them up on doors or on big cabinets. Wherever you have space, you can set it up, even if it's literally just inside your notebook and you're just putting those stickies on there. But all you have to do is figure out what your goals are. Break it down into projects. So if you want to increase your income, think about what projects are going to help you increase your income. What books do you want to write this quarter? Or if you don't want to think about goals and projects and all of that, you can just separate it into projects and set 3 main projects for yourself. I'm going to finish this book. I'm going to start applying to, agents, and I'm going to start Facebook group. And those can be your 3 projects instead of setting up the goals. If you want to go a little bit deeper in how to set up goals, projects, and all of that for your life and figure out how to really plan 90 days, you can purchase my HB90 planner that walks you through all of this whole system. Or I will also put a link down below to sign up if you're interested in hearing more about my HB90 course. It's just a 3-day boot camp, but we go really intensive in all of this stuff, like walking you through the planner and setting up your Kanban board and all of that stuff. And that course will launch again in March. So if you're interested, you can sign up down below for an email when that course goes live and a little bit more information about that. But otherwise, you can just start simple. Pick out 3 different colors of sticky notes, put your tasks on there, break them down into as small of increments as you can. I found that when I kept them very broad, like I said, like write the rough draft, and it was going to take me like a month or 2 months to finish it, it wasn't very motivational for me. So I learned to break down those tasks into things that I could complete in a day or in a week at the very most. And so it would be like, if you write 500 words a day on average, then put down 500 words for every single one of those sticky notes so that you've always got something to move down. I don't know why it is, but it just feels really good to move those sticky notes down the board. It just makes me feel accomplished and it feels really good. So actually, as soon as I ended this video, I'm going to walk over to that board and I'm going to move everything down that I'm working on for this week. And I'm going to move the things that I've already completed. And I know it's going to feel great and it's going to feel motivational. And especially after going through a period of time where I was sad and I was having a hard time getting motivated again, having this visual cue of like, here's all my goals, here's the things I want to get done, and being able to move them down and see that I'm being productive is super helpful to get me out of that space and get me excited to go in the morning. So I hope this has helped you. I hope that you can use a piece of this system in your own productivity. Comment down below and let me know what your goals are for this quarter and whether or not you have set up a Kanban board. And if you would like, come join me over on my Facebook page, facebook.com/heartbreathings, which I'll link down below. And you can share pictures of your Kanban board, or you can put hashtag heartbreathings on a Kanban board picture you post on Instagram. All right, guys, I will talk to you soon. Thank you so much for listening and for letting me share something that was very personal. And I hope that no matter what you're going through, no matter what your goals are, this helps you see a little bit how you can move toward reaching those in your life. All right, guys, I will see you in my next video in a few days. I'll be talking about the Clever Fox Planner, and I also have a video coming up on writing inside Google Docs. So I'll see you in those videos coming up. If you're not subscribed, make sure to subscribe now and hit that notification bell so that you'll get notified when my next video goes up. Okay, I'll see you next time. Bye.